let's move step by step then. All right. I am very into the Bitcoin landscape because after like years of development, I'm developer more than 20 years already. I was in enterprise and was in crypto from the very beginning of crypto, quit it and returned it later. I was like in banks, retails, and etc. And what I adore the most in Bitcoin landscape is the level of professionality you have to have in order to do something, anything. You can't even scam without deeper knowledge of how it works. This is truly amazing. And what's more inspiring that there are very few projects really interesting in the whole area uh, with real scientific knowledge, with real scientific proof. So I believe we can stand in that line because UNILAYER is UTXO based chain, basically what we are developing for more than 3 years already. We constantly faced like heavy critic. 3 years ago, like it wasn't that hyped. Everyone criticized us because why not go into EVM? Why not to do like something more hyped? And we persisted because we know the tech, we know why it happens, we know what to do and what has to be done. So why to bother about today hype? It is like 3 years past, and today everyone talking about crypto and specifically Bitcoin. And this is why I get so amazed and amused in the same moment. So we have our unique genesis. It's not a fork only in a code sense. We added a lot of different important additions. One of the most common and simple and obvious is EVM. We support in Shanghai EVM. It is like we storing it in, to say, signatures. But what's more important here that we actually managed to create cascade signatures, which allows us to sign transaction UTXO newly create transaction and protect every bit of it based on RLP transaction we received, for instance, from MetaMask. And this opens completely new gates for us. In the same moment, we have transformation RPC gate that operates just like Infra, which means that, yeah, we do have native Ethereum style RPC. Today will be deployed Block Scout, complete Ethereum based scanner that will support UNILAYER transactions. And RLP transactions, they're not that straightforward as Ethereum transactions. Ethereum is just like we have sender encrypted in the whole transaction via ETH recover. We have receiver and amount, as simple as it could be. But in UTXO, we have multiple senders, multiple receivers. It's way more complicated. And let me uncover a bit of mysteries because this part is public of the code. This part of the code is public. You can see it by yourself anytime and see what exactly we done there. We encrypting it, deciphering it as to say, I guess we lost host. I hope it's not permanent.
I'm still here with you.
All right. So we're using internal transactions. This is a bit techy stuff, but what it means that we can represent in a native style of Ethereum UNILAYER transactions, which are UTXO transactions. What else there? We have depots, also one of the very criticized consensus model, one of the fastest though. And later Sui came out and we're like, wow, finally it's not that hated by everyone, right? Specifically for Ordinals, what we have to offer, what is our proposal and what we are doing right now. It's like will be the next update. First, we have 2 layers of the mempool, which allows us to store heavy transactions and process it in a slower manner, like financial transactions first, they're fast, and heavy transactions later, without any considerations about overpressuring on the block, because obviously we have one block in a second, and it doesn't really matter for us. And the second thing that it's very good for the chain to have filled up blocks and good for the security. So it's win-win situation here. The next important thing that since we have direct access to tree estate on the node, right, which is EVM storage of the data basically, and the key commander center. And since we have access to eval script, which is the place where we processing inscriptions and stuff, we naturally can really tie them together and create like specific opcodes, probably specific syntax. We will talk with Ordinals about exact standards on that. That will able for Solidity, probably not that classical Solidity, to operate with Ordinals. And this is entirely possible, which is exciting. It's honestly extremely exciting. The next interesting part here that we actually can process JSON data stored in inscription if we will have some standard on that. You know why, right? Which will allow us to like transpile it to different types of tokens, even NFT if you want, and produce transaction to store it, and of course to process it back. And the next interesting thing here that the main idea of UNILAYER is to be cross-chain, like interoperability, cross-chain messaging. So what we're doing is essentially creating overlapping areas of few chains. The most essential part of UNILAYER innovation is ability to compile two nodes, two vanilla nodes like UNILAYER and Bitcoin, for instance, as a single binary, which if you have like validator role in UNILAYER and that epoch, and you have synchronized complete data from the Bitcoin. When you will receive the data from Bitcoin, you will be able to participate in voting round on that transaction based on that information specific. And if you'll spread it false, you easily can be slashed, which is a very significant difference from Oracle's paradigm, right? Finally, it's not Oracle anymore. It's just regular validator. That's it. So those validators, we have like composition right now, 21 validator per one transaction. As for transactions outgoing created from UNILAYER 2 target network, we're using 2-round MPC. And right now it's external service. We are under the development. It's an alpha version. Later in our roadmap, we have a plan to bring it into consensus of the chain, thus to increase the speed. And now let me explain why we're doing this. Right now we have pretty good the tech stack in interoperability, right? But the problem is all of it is focused on arbitrage money flow, like 9K value per transaction. And concerns are that this transaction has to be transparent and secure. No one really bothers about speed of execution of that transaction and the cost, because what's important when you transfer in solid amounts of money, only those two things. And this is why we came to half that cross-chain markets, unfortunately, because naturally what we do want to have in that area is the ability to create business logic separated on different chains, is to be able to balance your logic across different chains, is to be able to do something on like trade tokens on one chain, for instance, and receive tick information from another chain with another contract trading exact same token, for instance. Is just a very tiny piece. We've seen a lot of people who are nearly starving for that tech. And the reason why it's not presented yet is quite solid. Because first, in a cross-chain of that scale, you have to use UTXO. There is no way around. You know why? It seems, it's my hypothesis, we have global state of balances in Ethereum. There is no such thing in any classical bank, for instance, because your balance, what you see in your wallet, is basically a virtual number, because you have to squash your transactions, the whole transaction history to find the real number. So it's not an actual number, right?
Please note you have 1 minute left.
All right. So yeah, so many things to tell. Like let me go back to important features of UNILAYER. We're also supporting from Bolt 11 Pico Satoshi. Many claimed that it's entirely not possible to implement on Bitcoin code. It is possible. It's complicated though. But yeah, we have like 18 numbers after the delimiter, right? Like in Ethereum, which is very good for Pico Satoshi, which is really good for Ordinals and BRC, for instance, and also increasing the ability to transfer information across the chains. So right now we already launched our testnet. It's available. Later we will make like public announcement, but you can think about what I'm talking about as a public announcement. We already have their Infura-like gate, so you can connect via MetaMask. There is faucet, so you can receive your money. We are supporting Remix, like I said, EVM Shanghai, so you can deploy your contracts on UNILAYER. Unfortunately, at the moment, we're not supporting development debug of the contracts. It will be delivered a bit later. As for the future plans, let me finalize it.
Please wrap it up. Absolutely.
Yeah. It gets even more exciting when we're talking about texts like BRC20, right? Because areas here, the landscape is just tremendous. And what's most inspiring part here, that we already have the delivered part of the tech. Like I said, 3 years straight, no one believed that it's even possible. Now it's here. Let's things explains what we can do louder than any word could. This is what I'm believing it.
Lovely. Alex, first of all, congratulations on receiving all these milestones, and nothing but respect then for still pursuing your initial vision. And to be honest, Bitcoin is king, and we all see the sentiment of the ordinals is going great. So you made a great strategic decision for keeping it up. So thank you so much. I see we have a few questions also coming up from our community. I see Vincent, and thank you for being involved, Vincent. He asks, are you utilizing decentralized sequencing?
Decentralized sequencing is a very interesting question. We're right now discussing it because right now we're using classic sequence from like what you can see in PVX and chains like that. I'm not sure really do we need to bother about it or not. Later we will make our code publish, and we will work like on a very standard model like BIP and stuff like that. So we open to discussions. Right now, more into like multi-hash processing because it sounds like fascinating things. Benchmarks are just amazing.
Thank you for clarifying. I have also a few questions from my side. Could you elaborate more on the node procedure and how validators could benefit from running a node at your network?
Yeah, sure, definitely. Thanks for the question. It's kind of like two level, like actually it's one level system when you have to stake money to become master node. Very classic deposit composition here, and using leasing amounts and etc. You actually can participate in rolling to become validator for the next round. But there are actually a few layers of it because there is one validator, which is the validator to produce the block in the chain, and another validator is to validate cross-chain transactions. And oh boy, there are two very different stories here because obviously we are more rewarding towards cross-chain transactions. Actually, I forgot to mention ability to create hash on Bitcoin from ordinals and store the whole ordinals in Bitcoin. Like think about us as an RGB contracts, but we are self-sustainable chain, not dependent on the data entropy. And we able even to produce subchain like Lightning in between if you need like sequence of calculations, or using MPC, this can be just straight update of the state. As for to return to validators questions, apologize for that. It's important. The most rewarding role here is to be a validator of cross-chain transactions, obviously, because for that one, we have additional reward. As for exact economics of that rewarding model, it's kind of something we still testing right now. We have testnet for that. because we have drastically decreased computational units. You have to, in order to process transactions, because we have C++, without RPC in between, everything happens within a single binary. So obviously it's much cheaper. You don't have to have like the whole virtual machine with 4 or more than that instances and stuff like that.
Thank you so much for elaborating on that. And I was wondering, your cross-chain swaps, are these native or wrap tokens?
It's kind of like there are two ways to answer to that question. There's like short-time answer and the real answer. Like there is no native tokens outside of the chain where it was produced, except the situation when the token in its design, its very core, has ability to be that way presented. So obviously everything like Bitcoin outside the chain of Bitcoin is wrapped, no matter how we call it, it is wrapped. So we do have that ability. We may produce like one-time address used only for that transaction, only for that demand in Bitcoin chain. So the person will be able to store his money there. And if he will need to take it back, it's non-custodial. It's something like everyone feels a bit empty after rain gone. And this way you can think like partially it returns to say. So yeah, it is possible to make it non-custodial swaps. And those addresses will be only one-timers for only that transaction.
That's great news. We have one more question. Who are the main partners and backers behind the UNILAYER network?
Unfortunately, part of them I can't voice it out loud at the moment because we are still in the process of negotiation on exact terms, how it will be, and etc. But I can guarantee there are huge names and very interesting. Thing is like no one, literally no one trusted that we can do this. Like technical stuff, they just searched through our white paper and said like, it's not possible. All right, we're here, we did it.
Awesome. I totally get that. And we're also out of time considering everything. You're a remarkable founder and a great persona to have on stage. I will definitely keep my scope on you. Thank you so much, Alex. Have a good one.
Cheers.